Peace to the gods, peace to the earth. This your man, the King of Truth. King of Truth is Allah. Coming to you on this, what's the day? Wisdom Cipher. Day of March, right? Oh, man. Peace, right? Peace. Oh, I'm gonna talk about Auntie Jada and Willard, right? Auntie Jada and Willard, right? And I'm gonna jump in and weigh in how I see it, how I see what's going on with them, right? Auntie Jada and Willard is what I call them because that's their name, you know what I'm talking about? Right, but it's all good this way, until it ain't. But and so people been asking me, people get at me, like, you know. So I'm gonna tell you how I see it, right? And you know, I'm gonna tell you what I heard, what I know. I'm gonna strive to, right? And maybe it'll stop all the hate they get, right? Stop all the hate they getting. You know, I think they get too much hate. I think they get hated on unnecessarily, right? But check it though, peace. Let me see. I don't know where to start. I'm gonna start. Oh man, I guess I start with August, right? Now, y'all need to follow the red table. If you do your research, right? If you do your research, Jada had August as a guest on her show, right? It was August and Helen, which is Will's sister, and Mama, Big Auntie, right? And so the story is Willow and Jaden brought August home. And, you know, and they said Mama August fucked up. You know, is videos of August. You know, he already a slim dude, but he was very slim, falling off the stage and shit. You know, he was fucked up. He was on drugs. And, you know, Jaden and Willow raised, right, I guess, to care about people. They, you know, Jaden is somewhat of a humanitarian, right? And Jada's mama like a lot of animals, and she cared for people, places, and things deeply, right? And you know, they all help like nurse August back to health, right? Maybe he caught feelings, I don't know, right? Did he sit down with Will? I don't know, right? You know, Will said he ain't do that, but you know, so, but people mad at Jada for sitting down and explaining herself with the pictures, and August got his arms wrapped around Jada. You know, and people don't know they separated. Will and Jada separated when she is taking close pictures with August. They were separated. And if you go back and watch the video where she said they got entangled, she was in an entanglement, right? She was willing to, I don't like gossiping, telling other people marital business, but, they getting a lot of hate. But she said, they got an entanglement, and Will said, yeah, that's when I was really through with your ass. I was really through with your ass. Right? So they separated. And so, right, people omit that. People don't comprehend their full conversation, their full dialogue. They were separated. And I think Jada left her home. I don't think she was. I don't think she was dating August in the house that they share, that they live in. She had left her home. And, Will said, I'm not sure, but Will's like, that's when I was through with you. So they separated. Right? And so, why y'all mad at her for having a fling? They were separated. In Will Smith's own words, I was through with you. Right? And so he was through with her, and she was through with him. You see? So, and they kept that hush-hush, and people, and she just explaining, what might come to light and what people can say. So she airing it out, right? So I guess August too proud to admit he was fucked up. You see, he was too proud to admit he was fucked up, right? But yeah, man, that's how I see it. They were separated. So why people mad at her? Y'all when people separate, they need time apart. And so they had time apart. And, then they got back together. I said before, I tried to tell them that, at the end of that marriage, they was on some bad marriage for life. That's terrible. They ought to be working to have a happy, healthy marriage. Don't nobody want to, it's like, to say that is that they come to an agreement that it is feasible, cost efficient, cost effective to stay together. When you say it's a bad marriage for life, that's ridiculous. Who would want to celebrate a bad marriage for life? That's crazy. So, it sounds like they growing, and so, we all need to grow. And, what they done while they were separated, ain't nobody business. She just being honest and upfront. And she said entanglement, right? She got an entanglement. She didn't say they had a intimate sexual relationship. He was wrapping her up. August was wrapping her up. Right? That's an entanglement. Don't mean she slept with dude. I think I'd like to believe she has more respect for herself and for Willard, right? To go out like that. I don't think she was hard up for sex to, want to sleep with this young man that she helped nurse back to health, right? That's how I see it, right? So, yeah, man. And so you got people calling her a witch and a bitch, and she ain't shit. She cheated. No, they were separated. When people separate, it's understood that things like entanglements can't happen, right? So, that's how I see that. And, how I see the ChrisRock thing, the slap, right? I spoke on it before, got a good amount of views for not, for being an unknown, and, I appreciate that. Thank you. But how I see it, learning more, Will wrong. Now, he not wrong for feeling like he did put him, but he wrong for acting on his emotions, right? And it could have been his right mind that made him do that, but to be truly civilized, you shouldn't put your hands on another person. It could lead to great bodily harm or death for both people, right? But from what I understand, Will Reason is a carryover from the Oscars in which they boycotted, right? Where is Concussion, the movie Concussion, is when they spoke out, right, against the Oscars. Now, what I understand, I don't follow the Oscars, but Will is saying none of the movies he has ever made has been nominated for an Oscar. And he felt he was being snubbed and blackballed, right, by the Oscars. And so then I come to find everybody that you see get an award pays dues to the Academy. That's the Oscars. Denzel, Samuel Jackson, Viola, Angela Bassett, all Will and Jada, Tyler Perry, Oprah. They are paying members. They pay dues and dues and membership fees to be in the Oscars, right? And so, we can assume Will been a paying member of the Academy for a long time, probably since he, made his 2/3 movie. And so, he's saying he wasn't nominated, or the movie or him, the director of none of the films he was in, was never been nominated. So we talking about Muhammad Ali, The Pursuit of Happiness, I Am Legend, and a couple other ones that he done made, right? And he said he never been, and so he was feeling snubbed. And so Concussion come out, and they was just saying this is a good movie. It was all right. It wasn't Oscar. I don't think it was Oscar worthy. Will plays, for some reason he started playing people that he doesn't fit the physical description of, like the doctor that he played in Concussion is a dark-skinned, shorter African man. I think he's Nigerian or something, and his wife is the same. And Will's 6 feet, I guess, light-skinned, and he don't fit the physical characteristics of the actual person of the biopic of the real life person that he is playing, Concussion and King Richard, right? King Richard, dark-skinned man, about 6'3", 6'4". King Richard, a big man. Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena, is a big dark-skinned man, right? And both them about 6 feet or something. Both of them taller than Will, Venus and Serena, in real life. So, he didn't fit the physical. And so I feel like I said, he could have directed Concussion. Directors get Oscars. He could have directed Concussion and directed King Richard. But I understand his plight, his issue, his gripe, his grievance, his disgruntledness with the Oscars. I understand. And I've seen a clip where Chris acknowledged them having a beef with the Oscars. rather than see the full clip when he said, and Jada talking to, well, she wasn't invited. And he said it real sharp, and it ain't funny, right? When I seen the clip and ChrisRock saying Jada wasn't invited. Now that was a little off color, right? And so that bothered Will. And so when I seen it bothered me. And it bothered Will and it bothered Jada. Because they got a real issue, a real beef that he's being overlooked, blackballed, shunned. Right? That's, some of the movies, should have been just based on, and, Muhammad Ali was good, Pursuit of Happiness was good, I Am Legend was good. Hell, After Earth was pretty good. I said After Earth should have had the costume and set as Oblivion, right? Tom Cruise's Oblivion. But Hollywood come back, the media said that movie wasn't nothing. That movie was good. Jaden did good in the movie. It was Jaden and Will in the movie. I think people hating, but it was a good movie. You know what I'm saying? If their costumes, if Will costumes was better, and the set of the spaceship and the outside was, that was all right, but it could have been a little better. It probably should have got nominated or something, right? And so, he been in acting a long time, and he's saying none of his movies have ever been nominated. He's been a paying card-carrying member of the Academy Awards, Oscars, for a long time, and he's saying his movies never been nominated, right? So Jada just speaking up, and I remember the video she posted. She posted from the house. The house was all black, and she was just defending her husband. Right? And I jumped in and said, well, he should have got an Oscar. Now, the movie was all right, and did not know he was being overlooked and shunned and snubbed and all these things, right? I didn't know. I just jumped in because they jumped in, right? But ChrisRock said, and she ain't invited. And so I'm going to we can assume when he made the joke, the joke was okay. It was like he was, he could have been saying sorry in his own way. But I guess Will overreacted from thinking about what he said before. Now, I think Will showed his ass. I think he put hands on ChrisRock. If he wasn't going to get an Oscar, then Chris deserved a slap for speaking on Jada. And since he did get the Oscar, he had to put hands on ChrisRock to win an Oscar. So I think he ought to get an Oscar back and say, fuck y'all. He make enough money to say, fuck y'all. And so I stand by what I say about him seeking validation from a European institution started, born in a racist era. You see what I'm saying? He's seeking validation. Like this is some kind of self-esteem boost, winning an Oscar. That's ridiculous. The money you make and stand to make should be validation enough that you have made it, that you have won. Not an award from an entity that was started in a racist time in America. So, but what I think Will should have stepped to Chris before the second Oscars. Before that, let him. He shouldn't have waited for Chris to try to clean up. Jada ain't invited to. I see you in G.I. Jane 2. It's not a bad joke. Will trippin'. So what he should have done was correct step to, because they known Chris 20, 30 years. They should have stepped to Chris. You know what I'm saying? If they're in the healing and communicating, and they should have invited Chris to the red table and talk about, what he said and what's going on. Because I don't think nobody was paying attention to Will being snubbed. You see what I'm saying? And so I think, maybe he didn't understand fully that, the seriousness of them boycotting Oscars. So, and I think, I would like to believe after being made fully aware that, he would apologize. You see what I'm saying? So Will tripping, man. He tripping. He's seeking validation from an academy that's started, founded, formed in a racist period, a racist era in American history. You see what I'm saying? So he wrong. Niggas want to fight me on them your people. Well, nigga, listen, wait. I'm not mad at nobody, man. But, y'all calling Auntie Jada a bitch and all this. That ain't cool. She ain't done shit. She stood up for her husband. She stood up, protected her husband by speaking on him, that movie Concussion not being nominated, right? She took the diss. She showed up with alopecia. You know what I'm saying? And then, people seek to shame her because she explaining publicly some pictures that's out there with her in August, why they were separated. They were separated, and Will say, I was through with your ass. You know what I'm saying? He said he was through with her. So, when you tell when your wife when your wife for 20 years feel y'all done left the home, I think she left the house, right? And so, man, she ain't done nothing wrong to be all these bitches and witches and manipulative. You see what I'm saying? That's Will got his own mind. He ain't under no control. Not Jada, maybe trying to run some game to get him, I guess, locked in. But if it don't work, she ain't too proud or stuck on him to leave. She loved Will greatly, deeply. And, he loved her the same. But she ain't, soft. She a roll. You know what I'm saying? So, people got her wrong. You know what I'm saying? She worked. She make us. He didn't, she was Jada Pinkett before she became Jada Pinkett Smith. She was Menace to Society, Woo, Different World, Lowdown, Dirty Shame, Girls Trip or something, and, some other thing, and, she passed on roles to young women. She gave roles to Kerry Washington. She gave roles to Taraji. You know what I'm saying? Will don't want her to work. He don't want her to work. He don't want her out there. And not because she a hoe, it's just the hate they get. And you see what I'm saying? He don't, he want his wife at home. And, and so now she worked from home with the red table. It's their therapy, her therapy, right? So she ain't out to get Will, destroy Will, lead Will in the path of destruction. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, man. So she ain't done nothing wrong, man. And she don't deserve, they don't deserve the hate that's being put on them by the comedians. That's being put on her by the comedians now. I understand Will Smith, being who he is, made it turbulent for comedians. He made it rough. He made it a little dangerous, unsafe. That somebody may want to repeat his actions. right? And so, so I understand their feelings and disapproval and disappointment in Will slapping ChrisRock in the manner in which he did, right? And Chris, all right to come back like that's all right, but somebody got to stop and look at the root cause of this. And the root cause is poor communication and not being civil and intelligent enough to check Chris then when he said Jada ain't invited. He don't know. So it's a lack of poor communication with people that's supposed to be friends. I've been sharing things on my Instagram. King Truth is I lie. King Truth is King Truth King _truth_7. Shit, I don't even know my own Instagram name, but y'all look me up. Y'all search for me on Instagram, YouTube, King Truth TV, King of Truth on Spotify. And I've been sharing some things, and I put up there, when Chris had a talk show, he interviewing Jada. So they was in 1995, 96. So they go back, way before then. So they don't need to be acting like this, man. Chris, I think, Chris would have, if they would have made Chris fully aware, then, he probably would apologize and just get him on their side. That's all they had to do. No, and they can't automatically assume that other actors and Chris being the host is going to automatically, assumingly be on their side. People don't know the plight. I don't think all the actors, Denzel, Samuel, don't know. Now, Denzel know the plight because Malcolm X ain't getting nominated. And I think somebody lied and said Malcolm X got an Oscar. I don't think Malcolm X got nominated. Right? So I think King Richard is like basketball and football. King Richard is a makeup call. Training Day is a makeup call. See what I'm saying? And I don't know why Sam got an Oscar. I don't even know what movie he did to get an Oscar. But they say he got one. I don't even know what he did. Now Sam is a hell of an actor, no doubt about it. But I don't know what he did to get an Oscar last year or this year. I don't know. I think last year was his first Oscar too. So I don't know. And Denzel didn't put in work. So, but yeah, man. So that's all I'm saying, man. Auntie Jada ain't done shit. Will, needs to communicate. I say, why you ain't going back? He don't feel it's this dude. He gotta let it go. He gotta let it go. So he ain't letting it go. You see what I'm saying? So he need to let it go and explain further. I think, the diss not going to stop if he don't explain further. He got to go back and explain why he done that. And, he probably embarrassed. Or he probably don't give a fuck, fuck them all. And he wrong for that. I think. Because it ain't gonna lead nowhere to, people trying to sever their relationship and hurt them and disrespect them and insult them. So, he needs to explain. I mean, I understand after hearing, Jada wasn't invited. That's wrong. But, he should explain and check Chris then. That's all I'm saying. So I'm out. Peace.